Hey, I'm making my own way, but I stumble and I falter every day. But I love my baby now. But I love my baby, I'm still learning how. Hey, 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 I'm okay. Stay with me.
Hi, this is Pathways to Parenting Success. Tonight we're talking about college success, tips and tools for a great experience. I'm Dan Fox, a counselor in Boulder, Colorado. This is part of a series of TV shows presented by Boulder Psychological Services in partnership with BVSD and Channel 22. Our sponsors include Boulder County Healthy Youth Alliance, the Daily Camera, Centennial Peaks Hospital, the Parent Engagement Network, Hope Coalition, Temple Grandin School, and the Boulder Counseling Cooperative. You in the audience tonight can participate by going to boulderpsychologicalservices.com, click on the events icon, and then this event's College Success, and you can submit questions that we will attempt to answer live as we get through our talk tonight. I want to introduce our panelists. First, we've got Kate Ellard. Kate is a licensed psychotherapist and a coach for families and individuals. She often helps with coaching for parents and parenting challenges, navigating life transitions, anxiety and depression problems, and supporting teens and tweens. Dr. Sunda Friedman-Tabakhorst has worked on university campuses in several capacities as a teacher and as a regular staff member at university counseling centers. She is passionate about helping young adults maximize the success and fulfillment they find during this transitional period of their lives. And finally, John Dunn is the head of school at September High School, an independent school in Boulder with a strong emphasis on creativity, community, and individual development, in addition to a strong academic program. So I want to dive right into questions, you guys. My first one is for you, Kate, and this is kind of relevant to what's happening right now at the beginning of March. We've got seniors who are trying to figure out what colleges they're going to get into. We're perhaps waiting for applications to come back. And one of the challenges I see is that parents often have a plan, an idea of what they think would be adequate or sufficient for their kids to tackle this very big challenge of navigating the college selection process. And for whatever reason, their child isn't following the plan. What advice do you have for parents in this situation?
Yeah, it's a sticky situation. The first thing is to kind of strap your seatbelt on, because we as parents have all these kind of plans for our kids, and they often have another idea or no plan at all, and that can be really frustrating at this point in time. We've got to remember developmentally at this time when they're applying to colleges, finishing high school, their job in life is to push away from us as parents and to push away from our ideas and plans. So just one thing is to remember that they're not trying to be difficult with you in particular. It's kind of just their job to push away like that. And in that, you want to really look at your plan and your expectations and kind of do some soul searching and see what part of that plan is kind of some of your stuff. What did you wish you would have done in college? What do you think you should have done for college? And make sure that isn't in your plan for your kid, because that's about you and not about them. Because if they have some buy-in into their college plan, their follow-through is going to be so much bigger when they actually get to college. If they have some input into that plan, the geographic area where the college is, what they're studying, what kind of school, because there are many different kinds of colleges to choose from, types or genres almost of colleges to choose from. If they have more input into that, they're going to follow through more. They're going to put more of their time and energy into the schoolwork.
Boy, I like that idea, and I want to follow up with you, Sunda, with a question around what Kate was saying about empowering our students, right? They get this sense of, oh, I've got some stake in this decision, and that's going to really make a difference in terms of their follow-through. I'm there, but at the same time, I feel like this time in life presents a uniquely difficult decision-making process and journey, and that it can be really overwhelming for our kids. So how do we figure out how to kind of empower them, but at the same time help them if it's just getting to be too much? Because this is it's a unique decision. They never have to face this kind of thing anytime earlier in their life.
Sure. So I think that Kate makes a really important point, first of all, which is that you have to step back. You have to let their journey be theirs, and that doesn't mean you can't help. And so I think one of the huge things that parents can do to help kids think through how to be successful in college is to really help them think through what are their own priorities. I think I saw a lot of kids on college campuses get there and not really know why they came. And that's not a good way to succeed. And it's okay to have priorities that aren't necessarily 100% academic. And I think it's important to think about that. What do I want out of college geographically? What do I want socially? What do I want, in terms of how I spend my time while I'm at college? And so I think, kids, the transition from high school to college can be so overwhelming and feel so huge to them that they don't necessarily know how to think through that question. What are my priorities? What do I want to get out of college? When I get to the end of college, where do I want to be? And so I think one huge favor that we can do them is to help them think through that, and let them do their own thinking. Lend them our life experience to help them think through questions like, what kind of college do I want to go to? Big college, small college? What is my professional goal? Do I have any idea or not? What are my social goals? Do I need a college that will support me in having a lot of extracurricular activities or not? And so I think helping them think through their priorities for their journey through college and where do they want to be at the end of college is a really helpful thing. And it doesn't mean they commit to that, right? We can help them think through, when you get to the end of college, where do you want to be? And they can change their mind, and that's okay. But having a destination point when you start out can be really helpful.
Thanks. So, John, I'm going to bring you in with a tricky question here, because now we've got some good ideas about empowering our kids, getting them to really think about goals that they want. But what do we do with kids who are really resistant, really dragging their feet, procrastinating? Is this a sign we should just throw in the towel?
That's a good question. You might want to, because the value of higher education as a parent. For the most part, you want these opportunities for your son or daughter. They've worked very hard in primary and secondary school, and you've invested a lot into their lives. And so you might get exasperated looking at a resistant teen, one you love and one you've supported, and one that you might know better for, if you will, in that moment. A resistant teen, it's probably not the first time the teen has been resistant, I will say. What's important is that you understand why your son or daughter is resisting. It could be they need a little moral support. It could be that they need some practical support. We've all filled out 1 million applications as adults, and it may be the first time your son or daughter is filling out an application this extensive. They may not know some of the information, family income, educational history, their own social security number, and this is not to belittle the student. This is just information they're not used to putting down on a form. So again, maybe they need a pep talk, and maybe they need really practical support. If they're procrastinating, this is the hardest thing to aid with, because as it has already come up, leaning in as a parent can result in the leaning back of a teen. You can have the right answer, and it's not going to land sometimes if your son or daughter has decided, that they need to stay here, and it feels unsafe to go forward. Now, procrastinating can always be helped with a plan, and a teenager or an adult can always feel better about a plan if and when he or she has made the decision. So provide your student with choices. Come to them with a timeline. create a dummy account or a sample account for yourself on one of the many online college search engines. They're out there. There are free ones and paid ones. But sign up yourself, take a look, understand all of the steps that are involved, and then present to your son or daughter a range of potential plans. Have a timeline. Get them to choose one, and then you have some buy-in. You're now on a team. You can point back to your planning discussion, and that may help your high school senior to remember, oh yeah, I did want this, I do want this, I can do this, and I chose this path.
Nice. Kate, you want to follow up on that?
I do, because we talk about high school seniors, and I get that because this is when a lot of the applications, this is when we put in our applications, but I have to encourage parents to start much earlier than college seniors in making college and college education about college options kind of a family discussion starting in elementary school. It's never too early not to say, oh, you're going to go to college, son, or, daughter, I want you to go to my college, but to talk about what are the different types of colleges? What are the different communities you might want to live in, or talk about your own experience in those early years, so they have some understanding about this is a whole new universe of information and jargon and an opportunity. So I would encourage families to really start early. That's one of the things I say over and over again about college. Start early, just talking about it.
So when talking about it, I feel like what I often have heard myself is these concerns about that kind of behavior or that kind of approach to your test or your paper won't fly in college. And I know you're not saying have those kind of conversations, but what's the healthy message, and how can we avoid kind of using it as a looming threat?
That's a really good point too, because we do get frustrated with our high schooler when they're just not putting a lot of good time and energy in their homework. It's hard to see. I don't know that we need to connect all the time their achievements in high school and middle school with college, because I think it does become that looming threat, and it also sends a message that I don't think you're good enough to go to college or to succeed at college. I think we may want to keep it separate and just talk about the college years as an opportunity. So when they do get to sophomore, junior year and people start talking about SATs, right? I mean, they take the SATs or the ACTs and practice tests early. So by the time they get there, they have an idea of what a liberal arts college is versus a community college versus a real academic, scholarly university where there's a lot of research going on. So they have kind of a basic idea of what those differences are. So they're coming to this decision-making time with some information.
Nice. And I think at the end of the day, there's no question that the level of rigor and sort of independent responsibility taking is different. Mm-hmm. John, how do we prepare our kids for that?
When preparing for the rigors of college, I think it's really important, number one, to start early. I really appreciate that you brought that up. I think hopefully our families are considering colleges, maybe doing some campus tours in that summer before their senior year and in the spring. In order to prepare effectively for college, stay in the game your senior year, your junior and senior years as a student. So this is a message for the teens not to succumb to the spring fever, to the senioritis, not to take the entire summer lounging by the pool and staying up late and watching TV, but to read some books, to keep yourself mentally active, to be healthy, to remain engaged and understand that it is about to step up. And there's some really important things to remember. Number one, colleges have great resources to help you. None of them truly expects you to hit the ground running on day one as a college freshman and just thrive. That's a rare student. It happens, but it's a rare student. Use the counseling center. both for mental health purposes and for academic counseling. You should see your advisor. You should use the tutors. That's all when you're there. And while you're still in high school, don't forget they can refuse to admit you if you bomb. So continue to take it seriously. You got accepted to a college. Congratulations. Now earn it by continuing to use your brain, to work hard, and know that you'll always be supported both on campus and by a network of family and friends. And don't be afraid to share your stresses and ask for help, ask for help, ask for help.
Nice. I want to get into more detail now about the college campus experience. Right now we've gotten into school and we're trying to be successful. We don't want to be one of those 40% that fails to graduate once they've enrolled. Sunda, once they get to college, what stumbling blocks are students facing that they really haven't had to deal with before?
Yeah. I think one of them really is kind of we're touching on here, which is the sudden leap from semi-dependent to semi-independent, and notice that it's not either completely dependent during their senior year of high school, nor completely independent during their first years of college. And I think colleges work really hard to provide an environment that is a comfortable fledgling. And there's lots of help, as John says, and so they should ask for it. But the stumbling block is that I think for so many of these students is that they don't know how. They haven't had sufficient independence to know how to go find help, where to start asking. I think time management can be a huge one in the transition year out of high school and into college is, when do I do homework? And nobody's telling me you have to sit down and do homework now. And nobody's telling me you have to get ready for your test on Friday. And so the senior year of high school can really be a time for parents to provide semi-independent status for their children so that they can start to learn, how do I structure my time when nobody's here to do it for me? And how do I take accountability for it when I mess up, right? Because it's much better for them to start to learn to take that accountability when you're there to help them through that process than when they're going to fall flat on their face and enter into a bad cycle. So I think that learning how to be independent piece is a huge stumbling block. College can provide a very nice environment for doing that while minimizing the impact of not quite knowing how to do it yet. And the key is really ask for help. There's so much help on so many college campuses. There's the counseling centers, there's the writing centers, there's tutors. Teachers, most of them are teachers because they like to teach, right? They aren't teachers because of all the money they're making. And so go ask your teachers for help, So ask for help. It's there. There's lots of help available. And I think that that's a huge stumbling block that I've seen over and over again in students is not knowing how to get out of a hole they've gotten into or who to ask for help when they don't know what to do next. And so that is my big number one tip is that independence piece.
Thank you. Great point. And I just feel like that idea of semi-independence can be a really scary thing for a lot of parents.
Yes.
And understandably so. Kate, I'm wondering what you think might be behaviors that are going to be concerning or surprising to parents as their kids get into this newfound independence. What might be normal? What are the alarm signs? What do you think?
Gotcha. One of the quotes that I saw about when your kid first goes to college was, watch, wait, worry, accept, and understand. Watch, wait, worry, accept, and understand. You're going to just have to watch them flail a little and wait for them to figure it out a little. Worry a lot. Most of us will. And we'll have to accept some of the changes and understand them. Well, I have to say I settle more on accept than understand. Some of the changes that might surprise us, we'll say some of the things that are normal, I want to step back, are change. I think our kids will experience and embrace a lot of changes in that first year especially. That semi-independence, it does allow them to kind of go go a little crazy and embracing all kinds of different things. Their weight will probably change. Usually it is a little bit gaining of weight. Their clothes may change. Their eating habits may change. They might all of a sudden become a vegetarian or start eating meat after being a vegetarian for 5 years. They're experiencing so many different people and different ways of living that they're trying on new things, not only new clothes, but different lifestyle habits. Their attitudes on politics, on religion. They may start quoting things or saying things that, you as a family have never really talked about before. So again, it's that watching and waiting and accepting that they're just trying on new things. This doesn't, just because they start talking about a different religion halfway through their first semester does not mean that will be something they choose for the rest of their life. They're trying on different things. To be quite frank, sexual orientation could be played around with. They could start talking about, well, I might like, gender of the same gender, or they could have been gay all their high school life and say, well, I like this person of my opposite gender. That might be surprising, but it's just kind of trying on new things. You should also expect emotional highs and lows from your new college student, and quite honestly, a good bit of exhaustion, which leads to sometimes a lot of colds and sickness.
Thanks. So,
did you ask about some of the things that we should worry about? I forget.
Well, where I wanted to go was that I was thinking about a student who came in, he was a senior, and he says to me, college is going to be easy because you only have to take class 12 hours a week and you don't even actually have to go. And this sort of got me thinking about the myths and realities about college life. And Sunday, I was wondering if you wanted to just sort of speak to, like, where do we go with that as parents? How do we work with that kind of lore?
Yeah. So I think, that's a really great opportunity to exercise some of the restraint that we've talked about here about our agenda versus their agenda, right? And so I think the question is not, do you know that won't fly in college, but are you prepared to accept the consequences for that choice, right? And my job as a parent is no longer to insulate you or protect you from those, but to help you understand ahead of time what they might be and if you're willing to pay that price, right? So the price that you pay for not going to class is that your grade goes down, perhaps abysmally down, right? Is that a price you're willing to pay? Is that a price I'm willing to pay as a parent? Am I paying for college, right? Am I going to keep paying for college if you're not going to show up? And so those are conversations you can have with your student ahead of time about what is the reality of, well, you don't really have to go, or you only have to go for 12 hours a week. A rule of thumb that we talk about in college is you should anticipate 3 hours of studying time for every hour of contact time in class. So while it may be true that you spend 3 hours for one class a week in class, right, that's 9 hours outside of class that you should have as a rule of thumb set aside to study. And so helping students think about the reality of college is different. Yes, your contact time in class might be about the same as it is in college, but what you're expected to do, or is in high school, what you're expected to do outside of class is substantially different. And so that's great. If that's your plan, to not go to class, and, are you prepared to accept the consequences for that choice? One other myth versus reality that I would just like to address really quickly, because I hear it all the time, is a huge concern from parents and a huge concern from students, is that college is all about the party life. Right? We show up a few hours a week in class and then we go blow off steam on the weekends. And that is a myth. It is a huge myth. I think it's a myth that's perpetuated in many ways by the media and by movies and by lots of stuff that we consume, but it's really not the reality on college campuses. There are students who party. It is a choice that your student will probably be confronted with. But what we know statistically is that most of them don't make that choice. Right? They go to a party or two and they figure out that's not what they're there to do, and they readjust their perspective. So there are those students who go down that path, but it's really not what college is about. It's not what the majority of college students are doing, and I think that's an important myth to address.
Thanks. So, other side of the coin here. if I'm looking at my kiddo and worried that this might not be the right journey for them, and we could potentially be investing $40,000 or $50,000 before finding that out. That could be a tough family thing to reconcile. John, what do we do here? What are the signs that my kid might not be ready for college?
Yeah, I think as is always the case, the most important consideration that you need to have as a parent is, are you communicating with your student? Mm-hmm. If you are not confident that you are in a honest dialogue with this person in your household, then it's time to start. And really, you need to ask your son or daughter whether or not he or she wants to go to college. If the answer is no, you might want to dig into that a little bit and understand why. And again, it might be moral support or practical support that he or she needs, but it might be that fundamentally you're speaking with an individual who has no desire, and that may be because there's another passion that drives them, that they would prefer a trade school or prefer to enter an industry. A lot of industries don't require college degrees, and they're actually very prestigious, good career options for your student. And if they have a passion and a talent, then please consider honoring the choice that they're making at this time. And remember, as a parent, that nothing is permanent now either, and they may go when they're 20 or 25, which is increasingly common these days. If you observe a complete shutdown, complete loss of affect, just the whole, your kid crumbles right in front of you, that's a very good sign that there's significant stress around this, and it really might mean that they're not ready for college. If it's an utter refusal to engage in the application process, if they refuse to go to their SAT day, if they just, there are all kinds of behaviors that tell you this student is not ready, and that may not mean they don't want to go. You may be dealing with a student who says, I want to go, and is exhibiting signs that they're actually not yet willing or able or ready to put in the effort just to do the really practical steps. The application process is a matter of, frankly, just several hours. And if after a whole bunch of pep talking, they're really not coming around and just utterly resisting, prepare yourself for the reality that your student may not want to go immediately in the fall, and that be confident that their minds will change a million times from here on out, and that there are lots of good options. So please listen, please communicate, and as Kate mentioned, don't prescribe your intentions and your desires, because they really may not fit.
Thank you. Panelists, I really appreciate your time tonight. I hope this was very helpful for families and students. I want to let you know about a couple more talks that are coming up. Tomorrow, 6:30 to 8 o'clock, the title is Aging, Fulfillment versus Despair at the Meadows Branch Library in Boulder. Monday, March 10th, also 6:30 to 8, Strengthening Children's Social Skills at the Mamie Dowd Eisenhower Library in Broomfield. And finally, Tuesday, a talk related to what we were talking about tonight, Tuesday, March 18th from 6:30 to 8, College Success for Students Who Learn Differently. That's at the Louisville Library. Our next TV talk is Monday, April 7th at 7 p.m. The title is Marijuana and Our Youth, moderated by Jan Hittleman. I want to thank you for everyone. We hope this was beneficial. Be sure to check out the Boulder Psychological Services website, where you can watch all the old archived TV shows and see the complete list of upcoming talks. Thank you.
And now the planet's done its bowing down, and soon the growth returns to follow ground. But I know what's churning underneath the snow, and I love my baby, and we've miles to go. Hey, 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 I'm okay. Be with me. We'll beat this, can't you see? So wait a while, winter time.